Congratulations are in order, a well-deserved UFC debut around the corner. How does it feel, just days out?
Thank you, and it feels very fitting, like at home, like in the sense of where we are, and also like it's been such a nice, slow process getting here, like, and that's a good thing. So yeah, it feels very right.
More congratulations in order. First New Zealand woman to be signed to the UFC, and you've represented the country before in the Commonwealth Games, I believe, in wrestling and other areas, so you're not a stranger to representing New Zealand, but how special is that for you to be in the history books as the first one to be signed?
That is very special to me, being that when I first ever went to an MMA gym and I had no previous, I'd say, sanctioned combat experience, then it was, I remember looking at the girls that were in the UFC back then, and it had kind of just come about, so like having women in the UFC. And I remember just being mind blown by like the level that they were at, and then so 10 years down the track to have done all that work and to be able to make my debut this weekend so close to home with the first coach that I ever had on the mat is very special.
And I know you're dropping down from featherweight to bantamweight. How's that going? How's the camp been, and how are you feeling this fight week?
Well, if you ever need a bit of inspiration, you just see Kayla drop down to 35 from what she looks at, and so that's like, if she can, I can, was a like joke that we'd have. But no, I mean, I was too, for the level that these girls are at, I was too small to be a true featherweight, so this is perfect.
And just last one from me, obviously, Luana Carolina, your opponent. Give us a lowdown. What are you expecting from her in your UFC debut?
Can't really give you a lowdown because she knows more about herself than I know about her, but I'm expecting her to be as excited as me, you know. She's come all the way over from Brazil, and I've just might been able to pop over with a bunch of family and things from New Zealand, so we're both going to be super excited in there, and hopefully just keep it super composed.
Kia ora, Michelle. Ki te pēhea koe?
I knew you were going to do this.
Did someone give you a heads up?
No, just looking at you, I knew you'd speak fluent te reo.
Oh, that's about the extent of my te reo.
Exactly.
You just mentioned about when you first kind of stepped on the mats, and you remember the women being in the UFC. You debuting in the UFC now, you're very likely going to be that person for girls back in New Zealand. So how does that make you feel thinking about that?
So that's actually really cool, because I remember when I worked with there's a Kiwi guy that's a mental coach, you know, David Neath, and I remember having like some yarns of him and like him saying like a goal, you know, a very, very long-term one. And honestly, I was still like mid-amateur career, so I felt like weird putting anything to do with UFC in there, because I was like, I have to focus on what's next ahead of me more so, like the little steps to build up to the big one. But I actually didn't put down there UFC champion when I was that age. I put to be a legend. And so this is kind of like a cool way to do it, because I looked at those girls that, say, would have the belt or that would stand out in the media or whatever, but I was like, yeah, but are you a good person? Are you, like, can girls look up to you in any kind of way beyond just your skill set? And that's something that I want to be, as someone that can be a good role model for them holistically, not just because you wear a shirt that says UFC on it, you know? So that's a privilege for me to have.
And your entire pro career has been rear naked chokes. Are you going to mix it up in this fight, or is that something you're still hunting for to keep the record going?
Oh, if it was up to me, just go in there and do exactly what I wanted to do. That's a cool plan. And obviously we'll just have to take what opportunities arise in the fight, you know, whether it's that or whether it's something else. Half of that comes down to Luana.
And so you've been with the American Top Team for a while now, but you brought your original gym with you, Carlo from Core MMA, and Ethan Brockett as well. So is this something you've done for most of your pro fights, or is this a special event because you're so close to home and it's a UFC debut?
Yeah, so Carlo's been to every single fight. The only one he couldn't was during COVID because he has a gym to run, which was smart because I got stuck in Russia. But he's been to every single fight, whether it was flying from NZ to Dublin, meeting up and having 4 days to work together or whatever it was. and I'm terrible at messaging, so it's hard to keep in touch, and that's my fault. But yeah, he shows up with the same energy, the same calmness that I need to balance my erraticness, you know. And yes, from my first fight in 2015, after like 5 weeks of training, to this one now after 10 or 11 years, he's been at all of them. And Ethan's been doing my video breakdown stuff, I think, for every pro fight. I feel like, because whenever I'd get them, I'd be so much more relaxed because I could just see what other people could see instead of just what my tunnel vision saw. So yeah, having them with me it's a good habit.
Do you think it's one you're going to keep going forward from here?
Yes, of course. I love these guys. That big old head.
And do you think a fighter with the name Beyblade should know the Beyblade theme song?
Oh, do you know it?
He does not.
I actually used to... I'm no longer a closet nerd if I say this, but I actually had Beyblades with my brother, and they were pretty cool. We had the little stadium and everything, and we'd battle. Oh, that's rough.
Cheers, Michelle.
Thank you.
Michelle over here. You kind of touched on it there, you know, having Core with you for this fight. You were no stranger to big moments, whether it be in MMA or, you know, your career prior to MMA. But this is the UFC debut. Do you think this is the biggest fight of your career thus far?
I've always said, and I feel it too, like every fight that I have is the biggest fight of my career until that moment. And it feels that way every time I have the fight, because if I hadn't have thought like that, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now talking to you guys. But then if I am real, I'm like, this is obviously the biggest and best organisation in the world, and the level is going to be every time going up, like it has in every fight previous. So, yeah, this obviously is the biggest stage that I've ever fought on, in front of the most people. But yeah, luckily that doesn't like do anything to my nerves or anything like that there, because I do see every fight that I have as the biggest one, because it leads to the next one, you know what I mean?
And, you know, I know you talked about what it means to bring Core with you, but to be able to go into what is now the biggest fight of your career thus far with them, with kind of home base for you, what does it mean to you?
Oh, that's so cool. Like, we still have the same banters we had when I first went to the gym, like coming off the rugby field and going on the mat or grassy. Like, it's still the same banter, the same people. So it actually is pretty cool to... Carla's the one that will usually say to me, like, hey, this is pretty cool, you know, and I'll be like, yeah, it is. Because I have to force myself to be super calm. So he's the one that'll be like, this is it. Like, we're here, let's go. Like, you know, and I'll be like, yeah, fuck, you're right. So, yeah, it is pretty buzzy. I actually thought of it before I came down, like when we do like the coach and athlete photos and that there, and I thought, man, if I looked at all of the ones back when we fought in rash guards at IMAF, like, or when I was 80 kilos for that second fight in 2016, like, that would actually be a pretty long journey that we've had together. So, yeah, it's an awesome bond we've got.
The UFC, for so many fighters, as you said, you know, this is the #1 organization in the world. It's viewed as kind of like the promised land. Has it been everything you thought it would be? How has the first fight been compared to what you thought it was going to be?
It's actually been on par, you know, like it's obviously I've been absolutely treated to the way that there's so many Kiwis and Aussies on the card. So just hearing the accent after being in the States for so long is like very calming, and we've all got the same sense of humour and handle pressure in the same way, like take it lightly. So being around all the Kiwis this week, and how the staff handle you and the people and all that there is made it very smooth, and it's easy to focus on what we need to do.
You mentioned earlier about the journey it's been thus far. You mentioned it's been a bit of I think you used the word slow journey to get here. Why is this the right time for you? Why now is it the best time for you to join the UFC?
Well, now we've had, you know, a decade of learning what any of the sport means, you know, coming off rugby and not having any combat experience before that beyond the old school fight. So, like, it was super necessary, you know, to learn everything the slow way and compete in lots of, you know, grappling tournaments or, like we said, wrestle and all that there. So, you know, some people, that's their one goal is to make it, and then they make it and they have been rushed to that point and gone too soon. They haven't been challenged elsewhere in a lower, I'd say, smaller stage or environment or skill level, you know, and so then you jump in there and you just get absolutely totaled pressure-wise and skill-wise. So I think that's the way to go, and that's something that Carlo was always adamant about like not rushing those next steps, not turning pro too early, and especially when you're a female down under, like you haven't really got a lot of opportunity down here, so you have to travel. So yeah, it was very necessary for me to do that slow process. I guess it's like falling in love. When you fall in love hard and fast, and then it burns out quickly, but the slow burn is the one that lasts a long time.
You mentioned, playing rugby. You mentioned a little bit of school fights. But was it the Beyblade battles that started your love for combat? Like, where did the love for combat come from?
That came from growing up on a farm. I used to literally play rodeo with the cows and calves, like in the pen. So I'd ride them out the drive. So I was always like battling with things bigger than me, right? My big brother and stuff. I'd try to fight him until the moment he got bigger than me. And so, yeah, I was scrappy coming out. I was scrappy since I could breathe. And that was a hassle for a lot of people. So when I found my niche, like my environment, my people, like it was like, oh, I'm just normal now.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Michelle, welcome to the UFC.
Thank you.
Your opponent is a Dana White Contender Series product, 9 UFC fights, won the last 3. So do you feel like this is the perfect opponent for you to make your UFC debut?
Whoever they gave me was going to be perfect, right? All of that's out of my control. And so whoever they gave me was going to be perfect. Again, that's everyone else's decision but mine. And yeah, I haven't looked too far deep into all her background in that there, because I'm sure every year she fights, she's a different person, different fighter as well, and matures. So it's good to look back, but again, save that for the coaches to deep dive that far and just focus on who I've got in front of me on the day. Yeah, so she seems like a great. The fact that she said yes to it, it's, I think, maybe upper weight than sometimes she's fought. So, and for her to come all the way from Brazil, like, I'm very blessed to have her come over here and do this, and we get to put on a treat on Sunday morning.
So yeah, there's obviously a lot of vision of her. She's fought a lot of credible opponents. So you haven't watched too much tape on her yourself. You just left that to your team.
I have, but because they've pulled out the right bits. So whether it was Anderson back at ATT or Carlo here and Ethan stuff, like I have watched, I've watched a decent amount, but I'd let them figure out what we're watching, I'll just get distracted by too many things, pop-ups and stuff.
Well, no doubt her and her team would have watched vision of you with rear naked choke after rear naked choke. Do you think that they'd put extra time in defending that in the game plan against you?
That's interesting, because every fight that I've had have been vastly different to the one before, but the opponents that I've had in other organisations have varied so much. It hasn't been hasn't gone up exponentially. It's been a bit of a variety. So sometimes I'll fight and it'll look like one way, and then I'll fight and it'll look another way because maybe they didn't defend the very first takedown. So, yeah, I'm sure that they looked at that and worked the heck out of rear naked choke defenses. But the harder you defend that one, it sets up 5 others. So, yeah, that's a tricky one for her to figure out.
And a fun one for you as well. There's a local radio weekly UFC segment, and they have a fight to watch for each UFC card. Thanks to Australian MMA magazine, your fight is the fight to watch. How does that make you feel?
Is it really?
It certainly is.
Of all the fights?
Of all the fights.
I think they're doing a diversity thing there.
So, all good?
That's cool though. Yeah, I mean, there's some cracker fights on this card, I'm excited for so many of these fights. Obviously, first and foremost my own, but I'm biased. So that's pretty cool. That's awesome.